Hello everyone, my name is Juliana Zinchenko and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to sew a high hip bikini bottom, and I also have a sewing pattern to go along with it. If you're new to sewing, this is a perfect project to start with. It is 2 pattern pieces. You can see them behind me. I have all of my downloadable sewing patterns on my Etsy shop, which I will link below. So I really wanted to do an 80s vibe when it came to this bikini bottom, so it hits higher on your hip. For the back, this is what I usually wear when I wear bikinis. I'm not a thong girly, I feel too exposed. So I usually either do a full coverage or maybe a cheeky kind of look, but not too cheeky. And it still lifts your booty up, makes it look super cute, so yeah. These are actually reversible bikini bottoms, so if you wanted to do a different color for the inside, you can have a 2-in-1 option, which is really nice. I usually just do the same fabric, and regardless, it looks so clean and professional on the inside. You can't see any seams, no threads, nothing. It just looks so nice. And as you can see on mine, I actually did top stitching using a triple stretch straight stitch. And this is optional, you don't need to do this. I just personally love the look of it. Before we get started, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell button to know when I have new video essays and sewing tutorials out. You can also follow me on Instagram at Juliana Zinchenko for more fashion content. Without further ado, let's get started. So let's go over what we need. You're gonna need a sewing pattern, swimsuit fabric, which is usually 4-way stretch nylon lycra fabric. You're also gonna need rubber elastic, shears, which are fabric scissors, pins or clips, and polyester or woolly nylon thread. For this, I recommend woolly nylon thread because it is thread that stretches with your garment, but it is not necessary. We're gonna be using stretch stitches anyway, so polyester will still be fine. The first thing we're going to do is assemble our pattern if you went with the printing option where you print at home. And to make sure the pattern is scaled correctly once you've printed it, I have these 2 squares. One is 2 by 2 inches and one is 2 by 2 centimeters. As you can see here, this one is scaled correctly. It is exactly 2 by 2 inches. Now I'm gonna go in and cut out my pieces. I am a size small, so I will be cutting out that size. My pattern comes with a size chart to help you with sizing. And now I'm gonna take clear Scotch tape to tape the pattern pieces together. You can see that the pattern pieces have numbers on them, so you're gonna wanna find the matching number and the matching letter, which once you find it, it will make a whole heart. Moving on to step 2, we're going to fold our fabric and cut out our pieces. Anytime a pattern piece says on the fold, you need to fold your fabric and place your pattern piece along the edge of that fold. And now you can go in, especially if you're a beginner, I recommend pinning down your pattern or using sewing clips. I went in with 2 pattern weights, which are also perfectly fine for this step, but you just have to be careful because even with the weights, your pattern can move around a bit. All right, so we have our 2 front pieces cut out and our 2 back pieces. Now you're gonna take your pieces and put them right sides together. If you flip it over, all you see is the wrong side on both sides, as you can see here. Moving on to step 4, you're going to serge or sew with a sewing machine where I've indicated. The seam allowance is a 1/4 inch, so you're going to sew a 1/4 inch from the edge. And here are some sewing machine stitch recommendations I have for y'all. Although I recommend using a serger with woolly nylon thread, it is not necessary for this project. For the color of this fabric, I usually would do a white or a nude thread, but for the sake of this video, so you guys can see the stitches, I am using purple. And just a little tip while sewing, let the feed dogs do the work for you. Do not try to pull, push or stretch on your fabric while you're sewing it, this could end up giving the garment a look that we don't want. All right, now that we have our pieces sewn together, we're going to move on to step 5, which is basically repeating step 4. So we're gonna go over the same stitches, but this time we're gonna add in rubber elastic. Using rubber elastic is key for this project. It is resistant to salt water, chlorine, and sunscreen, so it will make your swimsuit last longer. So we're just gonna go back over the same stitches with rubber elastic. Here are some stitch options for the sewing machine. And there's actually a stitch used specifically for attaching elastic, so check that one out. And don't forget, if you're using a serger, to put your blade down so it doesn't cut our elastic. Again, try not to pull or push on your fabric, especially with the elastic. If you pull on the elastic as you sew it, it can make your swimsuit all wonky and weird. And also, there are presser foots made to help you add an elastic to your garment. I just wanted to keep this tutorial super beginner friendly and have never used an elastic presser foot myself. I really love this method of going over it twice. I feel like it just makes the bikini extra secure, and I'm an if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of girl. I really like this method, but if you want to check out an elastic presser foot, that is another option for this step. Moving on to step 6, we're going to take the front piece and turn it so the right sides are out. Now we're going to take the front piece and put it inside of the back piece. You can go through the bottom for this step. Once you have the seams matched up and nice and flat, go ahead and pin them together. This is what it will look like. You should have 4 layers of fabric pinned together. And now I want to go in and talk about sewing this bottom seam together. The seam allowance is 1/4 inch for this whole project, and you want to make sure that 1/4 inch in, the front piece is hitting the edge of the back piece at this spot. The red line is to represent the front piece on the inside of the back piece, and the black line is to represent where we're going to sew. So as you can see here, they're intersecting right at that point. The same goes for when you're sewing the side seams together. This is probably something you were going to do naturally anyway, but I wanted to bring attention to it. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment below. And the reason I'm bringing attention to this is so that when you turn out your bottoms, the front and the back piece lines are smooth and aligned, like right here. All right, so we have it all pinned. Now we're gonna go in and sew on the sewing machine using a straight stitch. Again, the seam allowance is 1/4 inch from the edge. And don't forget, when sewing on a sewing machine, you got to make sure you backstitch to secure the stitch. For my beginners, backstitching is basically where you lock in your stitch so it doesn't unravel at the ends. I actually go over this stitch twice, but it is not necessary at all. One time on the sewing machine will be good enough. I just like to make sure it's like super secure and I can pull on my bikini all day and not worry about any rips. Moving on to step 9, we're just going to cut our seam allowance in half to reduce bulk. So when you turn out your bikini, it will look nice and smooth and clean and super professional. Now we're going to seam rip a section from the top. You want to do about 1.5 inches, and this is so that we can turn our bikini bottoms out. And when you're done, this is what it's gonna look like when it's seam ripped. And what you wanna do is you wanna go in to that opening and pull out your bottoms. All right, we are so close to finishing. All we got to do is sew the hole closed using a straight stitch on the sewing machine. So I'm just going to pin the hole together. And you want to sew pretty close to the edge. All right, this is what it will look like when you are all done, and we are finished. Yay, we made our own bottoms. And for step 11, this is optional, but I am going to go in and top stitch using a triple stretch stitch on the sewing machine. This is for design purposes, so if you like the look of a top stitch, you can do it, but it is not necessary. If you do decide to do a top stitch, make sure you don't hit the elastic and that you're sewing as close as you can to it, but so that it doesn't hit, because sometimes I've hit the elastic and it will make the stitch look super wonky and wavy and not clean and straight like it does here. So that is it, you guys, for the 80s swim bottom sewing tutorial. If you make these bottoms, please tag me at Juliana Zinchenko. I would love to see your guys' creations, and comment any questions you have below. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell button to know when I have new video essays and sewing videos out. Like, share, comment, and you can follow me on Instagram for more fashion content. Love you.